Today's day 48 of the Omer, Yesod of Malchut. Now, I want to return to two examples that I gave earlier this week on different days. On day of Sfirat of Malchut, we talked about creating various systems in my business. And on the following day, on Netzach of Malchut, we talked about creating this system, this probation system in our family. And I want to look at exactly how those things worked. I mentioned in Netzach of Malchut that actually, surprisingly, I was a little surprised because I was being pretty harsh with my son at the time when I imposed this. He responded incredibly well to this probation rule. Not immediately. Immediately he was really fought against it, and he's like, saying all these horrible things that I'm not going to go repeat. But he really actually responded incredibly well to it. He actually, I think I felt that we didn't have enough structure. And when I stepped in and imposed some more structure in his life, he really seemed to appreciate it. And we had a similar thing in Tiferet of Malchut when I was talking about creating this business system for my customer service team, that eventually the new people all really appreciated this system. They were able to come in and they were able to be told, okay, here's our manual, here's all the things we do. Whenever you're off, you're going to get an email letting you know that, okay, you have to tweak this point over here, and we're going to refer you back to the manual. And it's like, oh, okay, I know exactly what is expected of me. That's really good. But the initial people found it difficult. The people who were already on staff at the time I imposed that found it difficult because they were used to a certain expectation. They were brought in with certain expectations of the type of feedback they were going to get. And then I went and changed it. Sort of like in Netzach of Malchut, when I enforced probation, my son Ari Lev eventually responded great to it, but at first was really struggling because suddenly, we fight against structure. As much as we thrive in structure, we fight against them, especially when they're being imposed from above upon us. So we fought against that. And in both times, it was important to really think about, when I'm creating this change in my dominion, in my business or my family, how is it affecting my relationships? And I had to be incredibly sensitive to the staff I had on board, for instance, when I created this new system with this knowledge base and giving constant feedback in a place where I had given very little feedback before that. I had to really be sensitive. In fact, I tried to give, at least 4 positive feedbacks for every time I tried to make a correction. So I was always kind of finding emails of where they did something right and trying to give positive feedback against that, so they weren't constantly feeling like I was only coming and pointing out flaws, because they were feeling very shell-shocked by all this feedback about things they needed to change coming all at once when they'd gone by for months without getting that type of feedback. And so with my son, I really needed to be there with him as I was imposing this new structure onto him to make sure that his needs were all being met. So today's that day of Yesod, which is all about relationships within Malchut, which is all about your dominions. Yes, a dominion is something that you have a certain amount of ownership through, but you have to remember on the day of Yesod that it's always going to be a two-way street. And Yesod is always about that relationship. It's always about how is that other person responding to it. So within your dominions, how are others reacting to what it is you're providing? And whenever you're making a change, how can you make a change in such a way that it strengthens your relationships rather than breaking them?